And good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, and off to the races we go. Today is Tuesday. The big show coming up at 7 o'clock. I hope you'll join us for local events. As you can tell, we've had an armed robbery in Meridian overnight. We'll talk about that. That's coming up with the headlines at the top of the hour. Join us, won't you? We'll go over all of this. Plus, we'll have a quick look at what's going on nationally, what's shaping America this morning that you need to know about. As we always say, what happens somewhere else will eventually end up in our little neck of the woods. So be prepared. We'll tell you about what's going on. All that's next. Right now, as always, we have to start the day with a word of faith. Let's go to Collinsville First Baptist now. Got the preacher man standing by. He's going to tell us a good one.
Let's be honest. Nobody loves to be told they're wrong. Mainly because just nobody likes to be wrong. And for those of us with kids, we see it happen all the time. We warn them, don't do blank. But they think they know better, so they still do. Fill in the blank. And in the end, a lot of times they get hurt and then they come crying to us. And look, sometimes experience is the best teacher. But in all seriousness, though, if we never acknowledge being wrong or mistaken, we will forfeit the opportunity to grow. Just listen to what Proverbs 10:17 has to say. The one who follows instruction is on the path to life, but the one who rejects correction goes astray. And I believe this verse speaks on a human-to-human level, on a horizontal level, certainly. We got to be able to follow instruction and correction from our peers. And if we don't, we'll go astray. But it's also true on a vertical level as well with our relationship with the Lord. If we reject correction that comes through the Word, we'll go astray. But if we cling to it, we'll be on the path to life. And look, we all need correction, instruction, and guardrails in our life. It's like going bowling. Without the side rails, a lot of times my ball is going to go in the gutter. But with them up, well, I'll eventually get to the pins. Life's the same way. We need those guardrails of instruction and correction up so we stay on the path God has for us. So, are you a person who receives or rejects correction? Or are you somebody that invites it and says, hey, I need to learn? I hope you'll be that way because remember, change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Welcome back. I hope you got a message out of that. Good morning to you. I'm Scotty Ray. Greg will be filling in for Odie this morning, who is out. We'll figure out why Odie's off. We'll talk about that also coming up. Ed's going to be joining us about this big bike race across America, miles and miles. It's coming up at 7 also. Are you familiar with the name Alex Jones, the guy that owns InfoWars? He's the guy that comes on, tells news, and for years he said Sandy Hook was fake. All of that. Do you remember that? Well, it turns out the family sued him over it, and they won in court. It was a little over $1 billion that all those family members was awarded. Of course, he doesn't have that much cash to pay them, so they're starting to liquidate things. He has gotten a judge to halt the liquidation of his sale, his company, to what he does, similar to what we do. He has an online show each day, but he's got a judge to halt it. And they're going to see in 2 weeks what they do, whether he has to sell all of his assets, and that'll be his cameras, microphones, and all of that, or if he'll be able to continue to help pay for what he owes them. We'll watch this case and let you know how that turns out. Hot air balloon, we hear it all the time. Again, it has happened where a hot air balloon in Indiana struck a power line. 3 people have been seriously injured over that. And I don't know enough about them, but when wind pushes, I guess accidents can happen. We do hope everybody makes a full recovery over that. Pat, good morning to you. Guy Coughlin joining us there along with Becky. Good to see Mark Ingram as well. Other headlines, let's see what we've got going on this morning. Now, me and Odie talked about this, some 3-4 weeks ago. Greg, you might need to buy one too. Magnets. Y'all heard about this? Magnet fishing. To where you go to a bridge and you take a big magnet about this big, and it's tied to a rope and you throw it off, and it connects to whatever is in the bottom of the creek or the river that's metal, and then you pull it back up. Who would ever think that you would actually find something? A couple has. Queens, New York, they were doing just that, and they hit and pulled up a safe about yay big. Usually this stuff is empty. This had $100,000 in it. $100,000. Apparently it was a robbery and the bad guys threw it over the bridge. Now here's the bad part. It's been in the water for quite some time, and the money is all together. It's going to take quite some time for them, but they've got to go to the U.S. Treasury now to have that money made good. If I'm not mistaken, you can, if 3/4 of a bill is still good, the federal government will replace it. If it's, I had a little bit because of Sophie, who ate some money one time. But if you've got 3/4 of that bill left, you can get it replaced. Can you imagine? You up for that? Magnet fishing is what it's called. Go to YouTube today and look at that. People pull up interesting artifacts each and every day out of riverbeds, from guns to knives to you name it. It's pulled out. If it's metal, it'll connect to it and you can pull it in. Big one there. If you ever go to, I guess you call it Jellystone National Park or Yellowstone, however you want to word it, Yogi Bear called it the other. Careful what you do with the wildlife. And now this lady was not doing anything wrong. 83-year-old was there. She was out sitting, and, well, the buffalo thought she was in his space. He gored her. Serious injuries out of this. And as park rangers investigate this, they say simply the old boy there just thought that she was in his place trying to take his grass. So we hope she has a full recovery before long with that. But watch what you're doing 24/7. If you take somebody elderly, help them out there. We talked about this story when this happened a few weeks ago. South Dakota is where it went on. A lady comes in, tells her husband that she's been assaulted by the neighbors, and the next thing you know, the ex-mayor of the little South Dakota town is taking the law into his own hands and taking out 3 people. And when I say taken out, I mean taken out. He is now being formally charged with murder of these 3. Whoa. Serious crimes there. This is a rarity that things like this happen. Keep your doors locked is the moral of the story before I go into it. If you're sitting in a car, the driver jumps out to go inside the store. Maybe it's a hospital as this happened. Washington, D.C. is where it was. A person got out at the hospital. Someone was waiting in the car. It was unlocked, running. As you can see where this story is going, bad guy comes along, jumps into the driver's seat, steals the car. A few blocks later, wrecks and kills the passenger. The thief ran, got away. Have no idea who it was at this point. Horrible things like that go on each and every day. We have to have our heads on a 24/7 pivotal, looking each way you can. I'll ask Greg about this one in a minute there. We're getting word that Michelle Obama's mother has passed away. Marion Robinson has passed away. We pass along condolences. She was 86 years young. It's rough losing a parent. We think of them during that time. I don't know if y'all saw this, but a guy, the judge got all over the guy. And it's hard to believe that here in Mississippi we don't do this anymore, but in some areas of the United States, they're still under the Fauci. Things are horrible, and they're still having court by Zoom. Seriously, they are. A guy who was in trouble for driving with a suspended driver's license calls in while driving. The judge ripped him apart. The judge may now have to make an apology. And things like this happen. He paid for his new driver's license, and they weren't renewed. He paid for it at the driver's license office, and they didn't submit the paperwork correctly, and it showed that his driver's license was suspended. So at the end of the day, he really was a licensed driver. And he said he's just kind of upset over the situation there. He did get a ticket. All that's going to be dropped now at this point. This is the unthinkable. Where do we go for this? Nebraska. I've heard of it happening. It would scare me too bad. I have not talked to Stella to see if this happened to her yet, but someone was pronounced deceased by hospice. The funeral home comes in, picks up the person, takes them to the funeral home, and lo and behold, they set up. They're not deceased at all. When it's not your time, it's not your time. I guess there's the possibility from time to time to where it shows that maybe you're asleep, they just can't feel a strong pulse. That's my guess. But she sat right up in the funeral home and said she was ready to go home. Now, I, on the other hand, would probably have a heart attack and it finished there. I don't know if I could handle waking up in that place, especially in a refrigerated unit. Woo, doggy. Did y'all see that movie years ago? It was good, called Buried Alive. Anybody see that? Man, what a show. Where the guy's wife wanted his company, and so she feeds him some fish, and it knocks you out, makes you look, and he wakes up in a coffin. Thankfully, she was cheap and bought a wood coffin, and he got his way out with his puppy dog waiting there by the graveside. That was a movie. Watch it sometimes. It's very scary. I agree with you on that. We'll tell you about, coming up at the top of the hour there, who is the number 2 drink in America? Well, we all know what the number 1 is. There's without a shadow of a doubt. It's Coca-Cola. The number 2, the Pepsi Challenge, is no more. Did you know this, Greg? It is not the number 2 drink. We'll tell you at 7 after Greg drags in and tell you what the number 2 is. Eddie Smith always used to say that. If everybody else is number 1, I must be number 2. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. That was his slogan for years. We'll be right back. We're going into the forecast. We had some showers last night that rattled some windows out to the west of Meridian. Newton County, Neshoba, y'all felt it. Scott County for sure. We'll talk about that next here in just a second as we go deeper into the forecast in just a moment.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, daybeds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
Greg, we got some cheaters up here. They already know what that number 2 drink is. They're already putting it in the comments. Man alive. But we'll talk about that at 7 o'clock. 10, 2, and 4 is what I remember. You remember that? You used to have the clock. 10, 2, and 4. Okay, maybe that's past your... I remember it, okay? It used to be their big slogan there. It had a clock on the Dr. Pepper bottle. 10, 2, and 4 is when you had a Dr. Pepper. Really? We'll show up. So I'll dig up some ads for Greg to see that. I hope you'll join us. It's going to be a lot of fun this morning. First of all, let's talk about severe weather before we get deeper into the forecast. Let me pull this up and show you what is expected. Again, some severe weather. Late in the night, somewhere around midnight, we got a severe thunderstorm watch for most of the area. Lauderdale County was eventually added to it. And as we study this, I was behind the scenes and we watched all this. It was never a time that I felt that we needed to go live with it, but we did have some thunder boomers last night. I never abuse the going live with weather unless it's a serious threat. I don't want anyone ever to think, oh, that he's just talking. When I go live, it's serious. Let's pull up radar here and show you what we've got going on this morning. Out in Texarkana, we got a lot of activity going on. As you put this into motion, you'll see how this is moving off. It's going to be headed south. Now, let's look at our severe weather that is outlooked for today. And here we go. Portions of Mississippi are in this, the western side of the state for sure. But what is this that I see? Newton County? Y'all are under this. Portions of Neshoba County, you're under a level 2 storm. Also, all right here, Jasper County, you're under this. And about a mile or two into Clark County. Let's look at this. As we look at this area of 59 there, Pachuta, you're under this level 2 storm, and it goes right into the edge of Lauderdale County, cuts up into Newton County and across Neshoba County, and that line being basically, we'll call it from right here at Little Rock, northeasterly across, taking in the Neshoba County Fairgrounds, all the way up to where you get to right here. Yep, Exxon there in Edinburgh, that big landmark everybody knows. We've got it cutting across there. Most of Lee County under this level 2 storm today. Now, the Meridian areas, you look at this under a level 1, Kemper, Lauderdale, down to Waynesboro and all of these areas, including Winston and Noxubee counties. So we could get some weather. And again, I want to be clear about this. I don't want anybody to think I over-exaggerate anything. We're going to have periods of sunshine today for the most part. It will be late sometime after 3 o'clock that we'll start seeing those sprinkles come in. Now, it's going to be a 60% chance of showers once we get to that. Between 3 and 5, that rain will start to move in. Julie, if you're watching, planning a concert tonight, you might want to take that into account. Yeah, get an umbrella, Julie, wherever you are this morning. Let's get into our forecast now and do the breakdown of what to expect today, what all we have going on today. Let's do that now.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As we go back for our record highs and record lows on this date, 2011. Man, that's starting to be a long time ago. It was 99 degrees on this date, and to scare you even more, back in 01, it was a cool 50 degrees on today. 23 years ago? I got shirts that old. That's scary. Okay, maybe some are older than that. As we look at what's planned for today, 89 is what we're going to get. Now, again, we're going to have rain through here. 89 Meridian is. We'll hold steady all the way to Columbus Air Force Base and go west across there, across Mississippi State, holding steady even down the river. Let's just call Mississippi an 89-degree day. It looks that way. As we go east into Bama today, we'll see that we're seeing 87 at Demopolis, 84 Birmingham, Anniston a little bit cooler in Gadsden, about 81 in northern Alabama there. Down to the south, we'll see 86 in Auburn country, War Eagle, as they like to yell out over in that direction. As we see here, here's what the National Weather Service has for us. 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. is what the timeline is on what I just showed you on live radar a few moments ago. We have a chance of severe storms, damaging wind gusts, and hail up to the size of a quarter with this. Now, again, this begins from anywhere from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. And as I said, everything that I've analyzed and looked at shows that rain starting to move in just about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So plan ahead for that. If you're working on a roof or an outside event, you'll be sunny up until then. Now, cooler weather, what is this? Northern Mississippi, nice. As you get into portions of Tennessee, even cooler there. But kind of normal there as we get down to the Meridian section, East Mississippi, and, well, a little warmer as you go to the coast. Now, here's our 7-day outlook as we have this 89 today, down to 70 tonight. But as I mentioned, 60% chance of wet stuff late this evening. Oof. We'll hit 91 tomorrow, kind of blazing there, down to a 40% chance. Thursday, a little better, down to 30% chance. Still warm, though, 89. As we hit Friday, things start to clear up for the weekend. It's about time, isn't it? Just in time for you to mow your grass again because it's grown all week. 90 with sunshine for the most part there. We'll get to 91 on Sunday and slight chances of rain moving in late into Monday. Now, as we go another week into June, look at this. The 18th. That's just about middle of the month, as we'll see some 80-degree, 87, and then we get to about mid-month and we hit that 90-degree mark again, and we will see some of these go above 93. Keep in mind, July is right around the corner, the 4th of July. It will be warm. It's coming. Now, here's what we got here on our fishing forecast. Chet tells us the perfect time today is roughly 11 o'clock today. Perfect time to go fishing, and it'll be good to about 1:20, right along in there. Tonight, the next major time is after dark. You've got a slight chance this afternoon, right at dusk dark, 7 o'clock, that perfect time when the skeeters aren't eating you too bad. 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night is another minor time to go fishing. The wind's going to be kind of good, 5 to 10. We don't have any of those major gusts today, so that's good news as we look at this. Let's see here. What else? Let's take a look at this because this is part of it, a daily forecast now. Absolutely nothing showing as we go to the National Hurricane Center. Everything's going to be great for the next 7 days. We'll keep an eye on this each day to make sure nothing develops and comes about. It's a quick look at our forecast now as we're nearing, 10 till. We'll come back live in about 5 to 6 minutes, and we'll bring you the morning show. Won't you join us? 7 o'clock, we'll bring you all things local here at the Scotty Ray Report. Greg's in for Odie this morning. Join us.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.